Party at the Palace last weekend, and by all accounts, that recruiting weekend was very, very good to the Oklahoma Sooners. They are currently number 6 on the composite 24/7 class of 2023 rankings. That is very, very good. In case you're wondering, this week's commitments: D end Colton Vasek, I believe that's how you say his name, 4-star, 6'6", 230 out of Westlake in Austin, Texas. 4-star defensive lineman Derrick LeBlanc. He's 6'5", 265 out of Osceola High School. That's Kissimmee, Florida, which I've been to a lot of times, actually, surprisingly.
Disney World is.
Yeah, it is, but it's also, where fishing lakes are.
No.
I'm just kidding. But guys, let's talk about first those 2 recruits. Vasek is going to pop out to everybody because he's a dude who's deciding between Oklahoma and Texas, and kind of out of nowhere chose OU and committed when everybody in the world thought he was a lock to go to Texas. Anybody want to give some background on him? Because I know the background, but if anybody wants to jump in.
Oregon was also heavily involved in his recruitment as well. And we know personally from their Ashton Cozart stealing that their NIL game is strong, and the University of Texas's is strong. And that Miguel Chavis specifically was able to stay persistent and pluck this guy out of Austin to come play in Norman, Oklahoma. I mean, his dad played for UT and he grew up in Austin. It is unbelievable that they were able to get this done. And he's awesome at football.
Yeah,
he's really good.
He's really good.
He took a picture with Arch Manning the week before he committed.
Not even a week. It was like 2 days before.
Yeah,
those days.
crazy.
So
and he had a Texas football
shirt on. It's hilarious. It's amazing. Somebody else jump in. Go ahead.
Did you see some of like his quotes though that he like talked about like after he committed, and they were like, well, why exactly did you choose OU over like Texas? And he was like, like I just got here on Friday, and I just like after meeting everybody or after seeing everybody like in this environment, he was like, I just knew this is where I needed to be. And also that he was like, Brent Venables, I'm pretty sure this was him. He said Brent Venables has played in like 8 championships. Like he knows what it takes to get there, and he's going to take this program to the next level. And I want to be a part of that. And I was like, wow, yes.
And he's also just like a monster, and I can't get over
just
it.
Really good at football. So
one thing on Miguel Chavis, releasing a video of him just swimming in his pool during the announcement was interesting to me. Like he was, we knew when Colton was going to announce, and Miguel was like, I'm going to take a dip in the pool and just wait for this announcement to come out and make a sick video. It was just interesting to me.
Pat, it might have been a Be Real though, right?
Yeah. Came out around the same time.
We're not going down that path.
Yeah, it's not
down there. No, it's not.
I also think it's important to point out Derrick LeBlanc. I haven't watched as much of him as I have Colton Vasek, but the moment he recruited the moment he committed, started recruiting himself. He, like the day of, there's a video that Brandon Drum dropped on Twitter of him calling out David Hicks, saying, we need David Hicks. I'm going to get you David Hicks. That's the kind of energy that these guys are bringing, because they know that it's infectious. They know that if they can get these guys on campus and on board with what the coaches are selling, they're gonna come around. That's what's happened in the month of July. That's what happened with Colton, and hopefully it continues with the last few spots we have left in this class.
Yeah, about LeBlanc, and for those who don't know, he's 6'4", 270. He's a defensive lineman committed to OU over Florida and Penn State. 24/7 composite has him as the 13th ranked defensive lineman in the nation. So that's a very good get for Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis. I want to also anybody else on those 2 guys before we move on. Those guys are massive for this 2023 class. Some more guys from that weekend that we just talked about, Party at the Palace weekend. Some other guys who have now garnered crystal ball rival future cast predictions. 2023 defensive lineman Jordan Renaud, 2023 4-star wide receiver Anthony Evans, 2023 4-star cornerback Makari Vickers, 5-star 2023 defensive end David Hicks, 5-star 2024 defensive lineman David Stone, 4-star 2023 athlete Jacoby Johnson. OU has such a good shot at landing borderline all of those guys. And something interesting, we're not recruiting experts by any means. So we get all of our information from the recruiting experts and regurgitate it to you guys. But from what I'm hearing and reading, this is completely unexpected for OU to be in the hunt for this many quality guys, because you do the math and you think, oh yeah, OU invited however many guys, they're going to land, 20% of them. They're at a chance now that they could land upwards of 40% of the guys that they had at the party at the Palace weekend last weekend. That's an insane hit rate for a staff who is brand new, who hasn't coached a game yet. They haven't played a game, and they're doing stuff like this on the recruiting trail. It can only get better. Somebody else jump in. I'm fired up and I'm sweating.
I mean,
they're embracing it. Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
No, I mean, I'm just like back to my point that I brought up at the very beginning of this podcast. This culture change is what is driving this, like 100%. Like, they are bought in to what Brent Venables is building here, and they want to be a part of it. And that shows more now than ever, especially that this coaching staff hasn't played a game, like you said, Mason. I mean, they are bought in without seeing any kind of results. And that takes a lot of talent by the coaching staff and just a lot of belief. And I love to see it. It's incredible.
The coaching staff knows that their intimacy of the relationships they're building with the players is an asset, is their strength. And like the party at the Palace, they invited a much smaller number of people than you usually would for a recruiting weekend. Yeah. They wanted that. They wanted these guys in a more intimate situation so that Brent can get to know all of them and they can all get to know Brent. That's just a different thing than other places are doing. And it's working. All these crystal balls.
There were recruits' parents who I saw tweeted out that Brent stayed at the party until he talked to everyone, until he talked to every parent, every recruit. The lights were going off and there was like a picture of Brent taking photos with people as the lights were like going off in the stadium. He was there from beginning to end to talk to every single person to make sure that they felt at home at OU. And that's part of the reason you see a guy like Colton Vasek commit after a weekend visit.
Bang.
That's also why BV was so tired at the press conference.
That could be. Pat, anything to add?
I was going to say, we're just plucking these guys from all over. I feel like that's been a common theme of what these guys are doing. Come on. Most of the guys we get are from California, Texas. We don't care where you're from, baby. We're coming into your backyard and we're going to take these guys. Florida, guys out of Austin, all the way up in the Northeast, taking guys away from Penn State. Are you freaking kidding me? We could never, ever imagine this kind of turnaround. This got to be one of the most complete turnarounds I've ever seen in a program ever. I mean, if we get even half of those guys, I mean, this could be one of the all-time greatest class. And again, like everyone keeps mentioning, these guys have not even coached together one game. It's absolutely incredible to see.
Pat, anything before we move on?
Oh, you guys covered it. They're doing everything right.
I love it. Folks, they haven't even coached a game yet. I can't even say I'm so excited. Baby. I'm so excited.
Days.
I'm so excited for this team. I am so invested. I have the potential to be as happy as I've ever been or as sad as I've ever been, depending on how they perform this year. But I have a feeling that I'm going to be as happy as I've ever been.